Hey, what's up everybody? Q Salazar here. So back in December 2017, I was at the PlayStation Experience in San Francisco. I was sitting in on the conversation between Greg Miller, the well-known gaming personality, and Sean Layden, who is the Sony Interactive CEO. So around this time, the God of War reboot had already been announced, the Spider-Man game had already been announced, and it was shown. It was like it'd been a couple years. Days Gone was also announced, but Sony hadn't put any release dates behind any of those games. It was just kind of promotion behind those games. So Greg Miller asked him about it. Take a look.
So now I think probably the second big question then for PlayStation at this PSX. Are you gonna take any of that computing power and put it behind giving release dates to the video games? Because I'm getting sick of 2018, and we're not even there yet.
I think we talked about The Last Guardian earlier, right? And we can create a rod for our own back if we come out with a date a date that's not secure enough too early.
Sure.
Because we end up moving dates out, and a lot of times people can understand why that may occur. It's just not a great place to be. You get all excited and they tell you, I'm sorry, did I say Christmas was December 25th? It's actually July 9th. You go, what? What? That was Christmas. What happened to that? So you can't move those kind of things out. I think we're trying to get in a place where as soon as we get a solid feeling, we're going to express that. But would you rather us just not show the game until that moment, or do you still want to see the game earlier?
Well, you want to see it? Do you want to see it not or earlier? See, because I just feel like, God of War, I'm sold on. First trailer, done. I need to see more.
Yep.
Spider-Man, we all know Brian at Insomniac, he is not going to ever put a release date on this. Because he just likes to tease you. You follow this guy on Twitter, he's terrible. Every weekend, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to play Spider-Man at my house. I'm like, ooh, I don't like you. You got to put pressure on some of these people at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know. We just hate to put a date out there and then keep changing it, or having it be a moving target. Or having to come back and say, oh, that wasn't the date, and we're going to move it again. I mean, there are other things that impact that as well. If you put something on a pre-sale on the store on a certain date, if you move the date, you have to refund all of those pre-sales because the date has moved out of a certain window. So there's a lot of complexity around that.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get better at it. I think the games that we've talking about in 2018 will be in 2018.
You're confident enough in that part. You have a strong feeling about that part.
Yes, because if it doesn't, then I go old Negan on my people.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
Yes, Sean Layden, don't show the game until it's finished. So after seeing that interview back then, I got frustrated and wrote an article saying that video game companies should not announce a game until it's finished. Now with the recent announcement of BioWare kind of giving up on Anthem, which I thought had a lot of potential, and then the problems that Cyberpunk 2077 is going through, plus Marvel Avengers kind of having issues keeping up with their fixes that they got going on with the game, I feel like I have to broach the topic again. Video game companies don't announce a game until it's finished. I understand that every year Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they have to sell consoles. So the best way to do that is they tease what's coming to their platform. And on the other hand, you have video game publishers needing to get video games on their calendar to keep investors and board members happy. The problem is, usually those games don't hit the market until 2-3 years after they've been announced. Or they do get released and end up being broke because developers didn't have time to complete the game in order to meet that deadline. In my opinion, I don't think we should be hearing about any game unless it's finished and coming out in the next 6 months at least. It's better for developers, it's better for publishers and their marketing and PR plans, and it's better for the fans. And if board members or investors get upset, oh well, it's the video game industry. That's the nature of the industry. It takes years to develop one game, and if you don't have the patience to wait for a quality, successful game, then you should probably just invest in something else. I'm just saying. Because let's be honest, Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, came out in 2020, right? About a year ago, but it was announced in 2015. Did we really need 5 years of hype, marketing, promotion for Final Fantasy VII Remake? If the game was announced with gameplay at E3 2019, or even better at the Game Awards in 2019, then 5-6 months before the game came out, people would have lost their minds. They would have went crazy. Pre-orders would have went through the roof, and the game still would have been a success. Then people at Square Enix, their PR people, their marketing people, they wouldn't be continually having to answer questions from journalists like me or fans asking where the game is at, when is it coming out. They had to deal with that stuff for like 5 years. Now take Anthem. Anthem was announced in 2017. At the same time, they said it would be arriving in the fall of 2018. At the time of the reveal of Anthem, during that E3, it was still in the middle of development. Actually, it was in pre-development, and there was a bunch of turmoil going down at the studio at BioWare. So development ended up being behind, and Anthem had to be delayed until early 2019. Basically, the game was not ready, and it was rushed to launch. If you remember, Jason Schreier did an in-depth investigative report talking about the entire development process on Kotaku a couple years ago, and it was pretty good. But the point is, EA refused to delay the game again, and when Anthem came out, the response was mixed. It came out to, tepid reviews. I thought it had a lot of potential, but the overall game just needed more time to be baked in the oven, as they say. So a year after the game's release, BioWare announced that they would be rebooting or kind of restructuring or redeveloping Anthem to Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next, where they just basically overhaul or restructure the game as a whole, to kind of meet their initial vision. So over the past year or so, they released some fixes, and it looked like they were doing some good work, and people were looking forward to see what BioWare was coming up with. And then recently, within the past month, BioWare announced that development on Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0 would be finished. They're done. They're not going to be able to do it. It was just too much work. So Anthem is dead. So just imagine if EA did not announce Anthem when they did. If they just kept it hush hush and just kept on working on the game. There wouldn't be any pressure to meet a deadline. There probably wouldn't have been people quitting in the middle of development of the game. You'd have the freedom to work out bugs and kinks and just any other issues with the game before anyone even knew about it. So I think the best example of an announcement and release is Bethesda when they announced Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was announced at E3 2015, and then it came out 6 months later in November 2015. Everyone celebrated, the game received a bunch of great reviews, it was on everyone's top of the year list, so it was just considered a success. So yes, it can be done. You don't need 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of promotion for one game. Just announce the game when it's done. What do you think? Why don't you leave your opinion in the comments and let me know. I'll talk to you later. Peace.